is making news in the CABL. And this week's guest is a longtime member of the CABL, almost 2 decades to be exact. And over that time, he's racked up almost 250 career hits and also currently working on a pretty cool project for the league's website. That's www.CincyABL.com. To sort that out and much more, our pleasure to welcome in Scott Glenn to the Hot Corner. Scott, thanks for joining us this evening.
You bet.
Well, Scott, I think you've been around probably every bit as long as I have in this league. Tell us a little bit about how you got into the league with the Bulls many years ago.
Well, in the summer of 2003, the Bulls' second baseman decided to move to Florida, and I was playing co-ed slow pitch softball with Kevin Manley, who was the Bulls' manager for 10 years back in the aughts. Yeah. And so I got drugged from the Sport and Social Club to Roy Hobbs and have never left.
The rest is history. Well, that was a good move for you, leaving softball and joining a real man sport. You've seen a lot with the Bulls over the years, 17 years. In fact, you and I have pretty much the same path. We both joined in 2003. I've seen the Yankees at their lows when I started to us winning the championship. You've kind of seen the same stuff with the Bulls. You guys kind of had some rough years around 2009 and 2010, 2011, but then you saw it progress to making the finals a couple times. That has to be satisfying to have been there for that progression.
Yes. We came real close to folding after 2011. There were some forfeits in there, and, we can feel for the guys that only have 7 guys show up because we've seen it. And obviously here in the last couple of years, you get the right 2 or 3 players and you can be up right at the top with everybody. So.
Yeah, and a big part of that for you guys progressing to where you were really happened in a tryout back, I'm going to say about 4 years ago. I put on a tryout over at Elite Baseball. There were some players that showed up that day, most notably former big leaguer and Scott Williamson, whom a lot of us were following around. And there was kind of a guy that looked like he knew what he was doing on another mound, and you and some of the Bulls guys locked him down. You want to tell us who that was?
That was Scott Brothers. Yeah, Matt Biscotti and Todd Hoffert, I think, were the guys that were just checking out players there and saw this guy's throwing really hard and nobody's talking to him. Let's go talk to him. And I think a lot of people ended up reaching out to him after that day, but Scott was looking for a team that was kind of in the middle, and that's where we were, and some place where he could really come in, and he didn't want to be on somebody down at the very bottom, and we kind of fit that bill, and I think we probably showed the most interest at the tryout camp, and he almost carried us to a couple, he did carry us to a couple runners up there.
Yeah, it's been a good match for you guys, and not only having guys like that, it helps you get other good players, and Ray can attest to this. He and I talk about this a lot, just marveling over the catcher who was named Player of the Year, and I know Ray can chime in on this too. Just a tremendous player. Tell us a little bit about playing with Tyler Shunk.
Yeah, it's hard
something
to
else.
Yeah, he's something else. Just from a defensive standpoint, how he just, nobody steals on us. Nobody takes a big secondary lead, because if you do, he's going to throw behind people at first, at third, and who knows how many guys he picks off during the season. But just great defensively. Hit 500 this year, and plus add in like 17 walks and 10 hit by pitches or something like that. And he was on base nearly 70% of the time. And
he's a game changer. And, I always say, Scott, and I'm sure Ray will agree, it's hard to quantify the value of a guy like that. When the other team doesn't run, you don't have a stat for that, but it keeps the double play in order. How many runs does that save? Just the fact that the guy's reputation, you just know you're not going to run this guy.
Yeah, and what he does for our pitching staff too,
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's hard to quantify what he did for Justin Crosby, a guy who really hadn't pitched much in his life, and just those little 2 sentences between innings, and on Wednesday nights when Justin wasn't pitching and Tyler sitting there talking to him, and that's hard to quantify. But when you have a guy who pitched 3 innings in his high school career come out and throw a 70 for us and win 8 games, I don't know if Shunk will take any credit for it, but
yeah,
there's something there to, just the way he handles the pitchers and calls a game. Yeah,
Tyler's a very, very humble superstar. I'm sure he wouldn't take any credit, but we're all aware of it. And old Ray over there, I know we were doing the All-Star game, broadcasting it, and I know, Ray, if you want to chime in here, he made one of the greatest plays you'll ever see in that All-Star game.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. The pass ball, and I mean that saved the All-Star game. So
yeah,
that was a hell of a play.
And just amazing the athleticism the guy shows. And Scott, I've been talking to you a lot the last couple of weeks. You're actually working on a project right now on our website. Doug Bouchard has been kind of the point guy on the website for a long time. You're helping him out a little bit, and this is kind of your baby. You've got something going here with career stats and whatnot. Can you tell us a little bit about what we have going there?
Well, I'm a big fan of baseballreference.com. When just anything comes up in a World Series game or anything, and that's a little out of the ordinary, I kind of hit that for, leaders and whatnot. And at some point I just said it'd be nice to have something similar, for the league. Last year as Doug was approaching 500 hits, you kind of have the questions, who else is coming up, who has the most home runs and all that sort of stuff. And so, Doug gave me all of the databases from 2005 to 2018, and I kind of started my project, and that's what I've got posted right now. I've got the 2019 on my computer. I've got 99 through 04 from the old website. So those will all be getting mashed in, but as a first pass, I've got 2005 to 2018. It's kind of hidden out there, but there's kind of a secret link that if you go to the main page on the website that has all the season's results, click on the baseball up in the left-hand corner, and you can go play around with what I've got. You've got career stats, leaders by team, leaders by year, just a lot of things.
It's really cool. And for those guys listening right now, want to check this out. So, for instance, if you want to go on there and you want to click, say, 2018, and you want to look up, leaders who led the league in hit by pitches, you can look up and it'll give you like the top 5. They'll say like Ray Sterling got hit by 5 pitches and was 5th in the league in hit by pitches. And you can do that for every stat. If you can click on a team page, you can look up the Bulls all-time leaders and say hits. And I think I looked at, I guess Doug's obviously 1. I think Hamburg was 2. I think you're in there at 3, Scott. It's just so cool that you can look at every team's history. You can look at the league's history and some other things I think you're working on. We were trying to go back and track all of the playoffs over the years, the brackets and whatnot. Is that something we could pull up there at some point?
It's not there yet, but it will be soon. And I've got, some of my guys have pointed out, we've got every game since 2005 in there. So being able to drill down to see what you did in each game is going to come soon. And I'm definitely open for ideas. It's I've been stealing it from Baseball Reference, but if somebody has an idea, I'm definitely open to coding different things.
Yeah, and a lot of neat things on there. A lot of those things are on there now. I think we were talking about maybe an all-time list of the Yankees and the Bulls, the all-time series between the two teams. That's probably something I think that we can get on there, and it's really cool. You can pretty much look up anything that you want to look at over the course of history of the teams. You're looking at 20 years, and I think we were talking off air How many players in the database right now?
1,856.
Wow, that's a bunch.
Close to 2,000.
And the number of games, that is a ton of games, Ray. And how many games in there since 2005, since we started using that site? But as you mentioned, we still have some data from before that. Didn't you say we were somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,000 plus games on there as well?
It was almost 4,500 if you go back to 1999.
Wow.
And we know that a couple of those years we're missing a few games, so it's probably right at 4,500.
Wow. Well, it's pretty neat stuff. I'm glad you're working on it. It's going to add so much to the website. I know a lot of guys like to get on there and check out some of the cool things on the website, like who has the most innings pitched in a season, career home runs, you name it. It's all on there. I've checked it out. I know it's still a work in progress, but this is going to be one of the coolest additions I think we've ever had for our league when it's done. So on behalf of everybody, thank you, Scott, for getting this taken care of. I know it's taken a lot of time, but it's going to be well worth it.
It's been a fun exercise, definitely.
Yes. Well, Scott, as always, we appreciate our guest in the Hot Corner. Thanks for taking the time to join us tonight. And we'll talk to you here in the off season as the project continues, and certainly talk with you as we get closer to beginning the 2020 season. If you'd like to be on the Hot Corner or know of someone who might, please let Ray or I know. Always good to get guys on from the CABL.
Yeah, I think I might take this off season, because I'm going to have to do some rehabbing and stuff. I'm going to take a page out of Crafty's book, and I think I might be combing some of the weightlifting areas this off season. See if I can find some
I think it's LA Fitness, right? Isn't that what Crafty told us way back when?
I don't remember if it was that or Planet Fitness. It was one of them, but I'll hit them all. I don't care.
It doesn't matter. Wherever you can recruit, ball players are to be found everywhere. And I'll tell you one other place where you can find ball players is Florida, and lots of them this time of year. This, of course, the time of the year for the Roy Hobbs World Series, and you had the pleasure of being able to go down for a couple of weeks this year. Unfortunately, it didn't fit in my schedule. Somebody had to report traffic for a week while Rob Williams was off WLW, and between that and my high school football, this wasn't a good year for me to go down. But you were able to go down, and lots of fun stuff going on down there.
Yeah, it was a good time this year. We had we had a couple of teams represented down there with the South Bend Cardinals, out of which is half of our team from the Colts and some other guys and from Indiana and different areas. And then we had our guys from the Colt 45s and the 35 and over group as well. We had a pretty good running. We did all right. We went 3-2 in the first 5 games, which is your seeding games. We ended up dropping our first playoff game, but we got stuck in AAA, which is pretty high up. And
to give everybody some a bit of context here, 4A is the highest it goes, and they kind of have their own thing. They started on Thursday, but really, if you're doing the open play, 3A is generally as high as you can get. So there's 3A, 2A, and 1A. So you guys had a great run there to get in 3A, and you played a game, I guess, midweek against the team that Carlos Zambrano was playing on. Am I correct with that?
Yeah, he actually didn't make our game. There was some mishaps there. He should not have actually been playing in the tournament because he's still playing professional ball. So I believe
is he?
Somebody got word on that, and he wasn't able to finish out the tournament, is what the word was. But he didn't make it to that game against us. But that team was freaking loaded, and
sounds like it.
They were good. They had one guy on there just annihilated a ball, and he was I forget. He might have had a tournament record, to be honest with you, when it was all said and done. I know he had, going into Game 5, I think he already had 4 or 5 home runs. So. Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I saw some of the pictures you guys were putting up on Facebook, the picture of Zambrano. Man, that's a big dude. Looks like a linebacker.
Yeah,
Holy moly.
He's big. He actually looks like he's in a little bit better shape than when he was actually pitching last. So. He's a big boy.
That's one of the cool things about going to Florida. You always have those little interactions, whether it be Doug Flutie or, Brett Saberhagen or whomever, Dante Bichette, Joe Gray, It's always cool to see, you get to rub elbows with ex-big leaguers and play